Well, thanks so much for Young America's Foundation for sponsoring tonight's lecture, and it's a pleasure to be speaking at YU, the only location I've ever spoken in where I may be the least frum guy in the room. Now, before I get into the content of tonight's speech, I think that now at YU, Yeshiva University, for people who are watching the live stream, Yeshiva University is a modern Orthodox school that believes in the concept of what's known in Hebrew as thouroughly, the idea that they teach the values of the Old Testament, the Talmud, but they also teach about secular studies. This is something that Rabbi Soloveitchik, was the founder of YU, founded the university based on. So now's a good time for me to answer a question that I probably get more than any other question, except for what's the deal with Trump lately. But that question is, why are Jews so left? Why do so many Jews vote left? And here's the answer for folks who don't know. Most Jews are ethnically Jewish, but they are not religiously Jewish. Now, people who go to YU are people who are religiously Jewish by and large. They're people who actually try to live out the values of the Torah, but that's actually relatively rare inside the Jewish community. According to a 2013 Pew Research survey, if you're talking about observant Jews, 57% of Orthodox Jews identify as Republican or Republican-leaning, 36% identify as Democrats. I think that's a good thing. That's compared to 70% of Jewish voters in general favoring Democrats. Ethnically Jewish voters vote Democrat specifically because they're not religious typically. A Gallup poll from 2013 showed that just 41% of Jews professed a daily attachment to Judaism, just 32% said they attended services. So the real question isn't why so many Jews vote Democrat. The real question is why anybody would expect a largely atheistic group of high-income, college-educated white people in major urban areas not to vote Democrat. And by the way, Orthodox Jews are likely to become more Republican, not less, over the course of time as the parties continue to split on issues ranging from same-sex marriage and abortion to support of Israel. Torah Judaism does not support same-sex marriage, for example. Torah Judaism does not support abortion. The Rav said in 1975, this is a direct quote, "To me it is something vulgar, this clamor of the liberals that abortion be permitted. I consider the society of today as insane. If you kill the fetus, a time will come when even infants will be killed. The mother will get frightened after the baby will be born, and the doctor will say her life depends upon the murder of the baby. And you have a word, mental hygiene. Whatever you want, you can subsume under mental hygiene, and there is now a tendency for rabbis in the U.S. to march along with society, otherwise they'll be looked upon as reactionaries." That's what the founder of this university said. Torah Judaism does not support socialism. The Torah is intent on preserving private property, recommends a flat tax that caps at just above 20%. We're talking about Truma and Maser Sheni. For those in the secular audience, look it up. And halachic authorities like the Rambam say that anybody, these Maimonides, say that anybody who doesn't work to support his family is committing a grave sin. Socialism rejects 3 of the 10 commandments outright: belief in God, rejection of theft, and rejection of coveting your neighbor's property. Torah Judaism does not support social justice, the notion that individual justice ought to be rejected on behalf of group interests. The Torah explicitly states, the Torah, for those who don't know, is the Pentateuch, the 5 books of Moses, the Old Testament. The Torah explicitly states that poor people cannot be favored above rich people in court. Now, normally you would think that they'd have to warn that rich people shouldn't be favored above poor people. But the Torah explicitly says that poor people should also not be favored above rich people, specifically because they don't want sympathy to run the table over individual justice. And of course, the Torah supports not only the existence of Israel, but the holiness of Israel, and provides the basis for that existence. The reason Israel exists is because of the Torah, no more, no less. Sadly, the Democratic Party seems to be moving away from bipartisan support for Israel that had, up till now, at least up till the past 10, 15 years or so, characterized American politics. Okay, so with